Hey, it's Jane with the Compassion Project and Moments That Matter. I am super excited because this is the first interview for Moments That Matter, and I'm with Carrie Mader. Welcome, Carrie.
Hi, Jane.
Super excited. So, Moments That Matter is new in the Compassion Project. And what it is, it's about sharing a moment or a time in your life that really affected you, something that changed the way you thought, and that maybe like you're different because of that moment. Could be a difficult moment, it could be a joyful moment, whatever it is. And so today Carrie is going to share a moment in her life that mattered, because I really believe if we share, we can really help people, and it's all about learning to be aware of how we think. So Carrie is amazing. Totally love
I
Carrie.
love the concept. I love the concept, moments that matter. It's awesome.
Yeah, because I think we have so many moments in our life, but there's those ones that you can go back and be like, if that didn't happen and I didn't make that decision, I wouldn't be who I am today. And
Absolutely.
I think it's super powerful. So, but Carrie, a little bit about Carrie. She lives in the San Francisco Bay Area with her husband of 21 years. Way to go, Carrie.
Right?
And she has two kids. She has a son that's 20 and a daughter. So that's a busy time. Carrie has a passion for all things design. She actually started a career in business consulting, but left that to pursue her dream. She has been redesigning homes for 20 years, and she loves creating beautiful spaces at an affordable price. And she really loves using IKEA to make IKEA look like $1 million. Carrie, we could all use your help. We really could. She also has a Facebook group called Design Your House to Feed Your Soul, which I think is amazing. So welcome, Carrie. I'm excited you're here. And so, yeah, let's just get right into it. The question is, what is a moment in your life that matters to you? A moment that shifted the way you live your life, and you are now grateful for it. Without that moment, you would not be who you are today. So what is a moment or something that happened to you that you'd like to share?
Well, 20 years ago, my husband said to me, I want to quit my job and open a restaurant in San Francisco. And I thought this was the craziest thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. And immediately I was like, no, in my head. But then I started to think, okay, if we do this, we have to downsize. We'd have to sell our big, beautiful dream home in San Francisco, 5 bedrooms. That would be gone. And I redesigned this house. I redesigned his condo before that. And I've been redesigning spaces my whole life, styling myself my whole life. I really love it. And this would be an opportunity to maybe do a real fixer-upper. I mean, we're going to have to downsize. And all of a sudden I got excited about it. So pretty soon we were looking for the best house not the best house, the crappiest house in the best location outside of San Francisco. And after 3 different offers on 3 crappy houses, we finally found the one. And this house had this whack kitchen configuration. One of the walls had come down, but the rest of them were still there. It had a basement area that had a lot of light, but the basement opened out onto the garage. There was no way to get from the basement up until the rest of the house. So it had a lot of potential. And what finally drew me in was this yellow and white checkerboard linoleum floor in the kitchen that was super charming. It was going to come out, but it was charming. And so we got that house. And the first
thing that flooring would have scared me.
Yeah, it was a little scary, but it was so cute. Like I couldn't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did on that house was I hired an architect. And I didn't hire just any architect. This architect was from the Philippines, and he actually did work for Imelda Marcos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's what I do. He was gonna charge me less because he wasn't licensed here. So that's what I do. I find the best for less. And he draws up these plans, and I'm full steam ahead, and I'm going to use IKEA kitchen cabinets. They're good looking, and they're German engineered on the inside, and the outside, they use the same exact hinges as the expensive cabinetry. And I'm like, this is my best for less solution. I show the plans to my contractor, and he says, lady, you're crazy. No way can you create this Imelda Marcos kitchen with these IKEA cabinets. Not going to happen. And I'm kind of terrified because there's no real proof out there. There's no hows at this point. There's no Pinterest at this point. But I think to myself, watch me.
Yeah.
And the first time my super stylish girlfriend, super stylish stylist girlfriend walks into my kitchen, she literally starts to cry. And I think there's something wrong with her kid. And I ask her, Layla, what's wrong? And she says, Carrie, your kitchen is so beautiful. People don't build kitchens like this.
Wow.
I love her so much.
So, okay. I want to go back to like that moment back 20 years ago when you actually made the decision to sell that 5-bedroom home because your husband, like lots of times our husbands will have these ideas or say something. You're like, no.
Right.
So you changed the way you thought about it. Like
no.
Something shifted in your brain because, which I find interesting because we make these choices in our lives that can affect everything. And it's so easy to be like, no, I want to stay in the beautiful home and I don't want to take a risk.
Right.
So, but like, why did that change you as a person?
Well, it took me out of my cushy experience, you know, my cushy life took me out of that and really kind of pushed me into what's gonna, you know, it forced me to evolve, really.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because
I know. Awesome. Awesome. And it was terrifying. I mean, it was a terrifying time in our lives, you know. We were
were you in the business then? Like, were you doing working in business 20 years ago?
I was actually a jewelry designer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then, so you were just early, like, just probably gotten married and gonna have babies in that stage, and he wanted to leave. I find that so fascinating because it is easy to stay in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
But when you push yourself to do something different, it challenges you, and that's where you grow, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why deep down you have that passion to help other people, like design the rooms and feed their soul.
Well, I know that a room can transform how you feel. I mean, I know that, you know, when you wake up in a beautiful space, you wake up and you're just so happy to be there. And when it's crappy, it just brings you down, you know, like you don't. And I know that when you walk into your home and you're using all of those little nooks and crannies, just like you feel good. And it reflects you. You know, that's another thing that it's not about what anybody else wants. It's about what you want in your own house.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us get used to, you know, what did my mom want? What did my contractor want? What does my designer say? It's not about any of that. It's about what you want in your own home, because that's what's going to feed you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I find it fascinating because I look at it like you look at it like the house, and I get that because we want to feel good. That's what life's all about. We want to feel good. It's really simple. We overcomplicate life. What is the point of life? To feel good. So if you can wake up in a space that uplifts you, whether you put signs of gratitude around or what's on your bedside table, or like I have wedding pictures of my husband and I on my bedside table. I have pictures of my grandchildren. I wake up into a room that makes me feel so good because I'm all about feeling good in the morning. And I really believe that everything is how we think. So it's almost like this analogy of like you create this space or this home to feed your soul. but it's so much more than that, because it's the same as like our bodies and our cells. If we wake up in ourselves that we're happy and organized and in a good space in our brain, then that is how we go out in the world, like makes us happy, right?
Right.
So
And if
creating
it
a chat.
reflects us, you know, like there's something is trying to come through us, right?
Yeah.
Something is trying to speak to us. And if we don't listen to that and we listen to what our neighbor did in her house, it's not the same. Like it's about you, and it's about your own space and your own
Yeah.
container. And
I
yeah,
know. Not comparing ourselves to anyone, whether it's your house, whether it's someone's on a trip, whether you think someone's relationship with a husband better, whatever it is, it's just taking care of yourself. And there's no competition, but how does it make you feel? Whether it's you as designing your space or you in your body, how do you feel? So it's amazing. So I love your story. I love who you are.
you're sweet.
Yeah, you're incredible. So, and now you are going to be helping people design their homes to feed their soul. Anyone can join her Facebook group. We can put the link in the comments so people can join.
A good group of people. It's a good group, a bunch of, you know, design, what's the word I want to think about?
Well, you're feeding your soul.
Design addicted people, but then there's my boyfriend from 6th grade is in there. So I don't know.
So the second question was it's a big question. What message would you like to share with the world? If you only had a few minutes to live, who knows what it is? It's like thinking, what would you say? What message would you leave with the world, or that you want your children to hear? Like, what would be your message?
Yeah, my message. I started this path right at the beginning of the pandemic. I was on a phone call with my general practitioner, you know, FaceTime on your phone. And I really was just there to get my prescriptions refilled. Prescriptions for Retin-A for my face and Zoloft antidepressants for my brain. And she says to me at the beginning of the pandemic, maybe it's time you think about going off these antidepressants. And I think to myself, lady, you are crazy. It's the beginning of the pandemic. The world is ending. No way, no how am I coming off these things now? I've been on these things for almost my entire adult life, close to 40 years. And I've tried to go off them plenty of times, and it's just crime, which is basically the reason I went on them in the first place. I cry. And when I try and go off them, I cry. So at the beginning of the pandemic, no, thank you. Get off that phone call. And I'm like, she's fired. But there's literally nothing to do at the beginning of the pandemic. And after a few puzzles, I start to read self-help books and personal development and coaching programs and podcasts and TEDx talks. And I finally stumble onto Michael Singer and Byron Katie. And I hear Michael Singer talking about energy and how when something happens to us, we don't like it. When something happens to us and it's uncomfortable, we store that energy inside because we just like go away energy. And so we store it. And when life happens, it hits that ball of energy and triggers us because the energy wants to come out. And we were never meant to store that. We were never meant to store that.
I know.
So I start to think about the energy and the crying and the antidepressants. And I start to think maybe me crying is just that energy trying to come out. And the antidepressants, by like numbing it and suppressing the crying, maybe the antidepressants are actually helping me keep that energy inside.
Oh, wow.
And I start to wean off the antidepressants. And I've been off them for 8 months now. I know, it's friggin' awesome. And
Amazing.
I cry. I cry. It was not easy to get off them. The crying was a little, it was a lot, but I knew that it was going to happen, and I still cry. I mean, I cry, but I just now recognize that that crying is part of my own natural letting that energy come out and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So your message is to let go of the things you block. Is that what is your message? Is like letting go, that people should let go of the blockage, those energies that they're holding?
Yeah.
That way.
That's
Yeah.
one.
So Michael Singer and Carrie and I might do another live and talk about Michael Singer and his book, The Untethered Soul. I was just gonna ask you what your favorite book is.
That's probably my favorite book.
Yeah.
I don't read much. I do more Audible.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I love that message because I feel like that's really powerful, because Michael Singer explains it like, if you have a home, we're talking about beautiful homes. If you have a home and you never take out the garbage, if you leave pizza boxes for 10 years and you never empty your garbage, and your home is full of garbage, your space where you live, it's going to be a horrible place to live. So he uses that analogy on your own body and your own self. If you never take out the garbage, which means people that have hurt you, things that have happened that you hold on to, people will say, I am never going to forget what he did to me. What? That's like a garbage you're going to hang on to forever.
Right.
And
Right.
if you don't let it go, then that full feeling of joy and energy where happiness come from is blocked.
Right.
And that's the most powerful thing. And Carrie, it's super amazing because you wanting to, like, your whole passion of designing homes and feeding your soul, combined with like having a space that is clear and beautiful and free, like our bodies, our minds, we want them to be a space we want to live in, like we live in our bodies.
Right.
So I love your whole designing your home, your actual physical house that you live in, to feed your soul. But it's the same, because if you create a beautiful space in your home, your physical house, but you aren't happy in your body, that you're not going to get it. So
Right.
I think the combination of those two is absolutely amazing, and I love that. I think you and I both get that. If anyone picks up anything from this talk with Carrie, is understanding that you could live in a mansion, you could have the 5-bedroom home like you had, but if you're not happy in your body, in your mind, you're going to be on antidepressants. And Carrie, seriously, amazing.
I know,
Absolutely
right?
amazing that you're off antidepressants. I that in itself
Amazing.
is a moment that matters. I know the moment that mattered 20 years ago when your husband said, that's a big moment. But I think the bigger moment for you is what in your brain said, I'm going to go off antidepressants, because you were on them for a long time. What shifted when you actually had a shift to thought, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can clear out the energy, and I don't want the antidepressants to stop me from feeling.
Right. I think I had to learn a little bit first about the energy. I mean, I didn't know any of that, you know, and we're not taught any of that. And I had to learn that was something I knew about, triggering, and, you know, mostly I had learned, like, avoid triggering my husband. Like, I had learned that, which honestly I think is a bunch of bullshit, because if I avoid triggering him, then he's not getting his opportunity to grow, right? So I think we're both supposed to trigger each other, which is like, really, seriously.
Well, I've been married 36 years. You've been married 21. Both are great. But I will tell you, the triggering happens probably in the first 20 years, because you're both have things that trigger. And then as you go through personal growth, I would say the last 10 years of my marriage, since we were married after the 25th wedding anniversary, we don't ever fight or anything. We understand each other so much. We've let go of so much that our relationship is just so amazing. But Anyway, we could talk forever about that. We should probably go. But I want to thank you for being the first guest on Moments That Matter. And what I love about this, and I don't know if you see it, maybe when you watch it back, I really believe the real moment for you, that moment is when you decide to go off antidepressants. But you can go back to that other moment that changed your life when which is also beautiful, when you went with what your husband said and let go of the big, beautiful home. It's so interesting. And now here you are in a beautiful home, but you're also living in a beautiful space because you're healing your mind and the way you think.
Yeah.
So it's
I think
amazing.
the moment was, I mean, the beginning of the pandemic. I think the pandemic, I mean, I literally am grateful for it. Like, how crazy is that? Like,
Yeah.
if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have gone down the journey that I went down. So
I think a lot of personal growth happened in the pandemic for a lot of people. We had a lot of time. Like my mom said, we couldn't go outside, so we had to go inward.
yeah. Oh, that's
My mom's like 85, and she says that was it became an inward journey because we had to
I
find
love that.
happiness somewhere else. We couldn't go outside. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Thank you anyone who's watching or watching the replay. We appreciate you. And yeah, I'm going to be coming live next Monday with another guest, surprise guest.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, Carrie. Love you.
Love you too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.